their bag of pills is not helping them to improve their health and their well-being. You know, on average, and these are statistics from the government, about 60% of Americans are utilizing some form of alternative medicine. And that's a huge percentage. And what's interesting is only about 30% of them are telling their traditional doctor that they're seeing an alternative practitioner.
Wow.
Whether it's a chiropractor, a massage therapist, or herbalist, or homeopathic or functional medicine doctor. And as we said earlier, more and more traditional doctors are really getting a little disappointed with the way that their practices have gone and the way that they're being required or have been trained to work with their patients. So they're learning more avenues. They're learning more areas of medicine that they can work with their patients. But you're right. You know, on average, the family physician is seeing their patient for about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So where can they really go?
Sure.
You know, when a patient comes into me, I generally spend an hour to an hour and a half on the first visit. That's in addition to looking at lab reports that they may have sent me in the past, as well as an 8-page history. So I do spend the time that I think most traditional doctors would like to be able to spend, but they're just not able to. So I think there's definitely a paradigm shift going on right now, and we see that with just what we're talking about today. There's a big interest in what's happening.
Yeah.
And not only by the consumer, but by the practitioner as well.
Well, that's good. That's good.
It's about time.
And I also wanted to ask you briefly, I mean, nowadays you hear so much about childhood obesity and childhood diabetes. Does functional diagnostic medicine work with children as well? And what's your opinion on children and medicine?
Absolutely. We work with children all the time. And if you've seen the rise in obesity in the children, I mean, it's just tremendous. 25% of our children under the age of 12 are obese.
Amazing.
And what science is telling us is that 25% that's obese, 50% of them will be obese as adults.
Wow.
And what's scary is that the parents of these obese children may outlive their children because of what's happening. We take a look at the obesity. What does that move us into? It moves us into diabetes. We're seeing type 2 diabetes earlier and earlier. It used to be called adult onset diabetes, not anymore.
No, no.
So it's really destroying our kids. But we're in such a hurry today that all we want is something fast.
So we'll just feed them anything.
Let's go to the fast foods, and the fast foods are laden with fats and high levels of simple carbohydrates. Does nothing to heal the body. So it's a tremendous epidemic that we're dealing with today. Also with ADD, ADHD, autism.
Yeah.
There's been a huge rise in that over the years as well.
So we need you more now than ever, Dr. Ross.
Well, I appreciate that. We need more professionals to be looking at this also, because I'm not going to be able to handle everybody that needs to come see me. I'll certainly do my best, but it's really the awareness of the consumer and being more cognizant of what you're putting into your mouth.
Right.
And the future doesn't need to be doom and gloom as far as health goes.
Right.
It's just building awareness, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are, what you see as the future for curing the cause and preventing disease.
Well, I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, Avitas.
Oh, absolutely.
I think as more people become aware of not only my book, Curing the Cause, Preventing Disease, but more aware of that there's an opportunity to learn more about your body, that there's options out there to investigate, to really get to the root cause instead of covering up the symptoms, we're going to be a much healthier society. You know, we spend 2 times more on health care than any other industrialized country in the world today, according to the World Health Organization.
Oh, yeah. It's
And a
just
mere
crazy.
2% change in our attitude towards prevention is enough to prevent 35 million deaths by the year 2025. That was just recently reported in Lancet magazine. So
You know,
a small 2% has a tremendous change.
Just that small fraction of percent. Now, if only 2% of the population can actually have that product and build awareness, we can change the face of the nation
Absolutely.
in terms of health.
Absolutely.
That is so amazing.
Let alone the economy and what we're spending on healthcare today.
Now, Dr. Stephen Ross, where do you see your future?
Well, I hope in a healthy light many, many years from now.
Of course, that's a given.
And I want to grow old gracefully.
Sure.
I really see writing more books on the subject here. And I have other professionals and traditional medical doctors that want to co-author with me, which is real exciting. Because I'd like to see a series of books on curing the cause and preventing disease, for instance, heart disease, or digestive problems, hormonal imbalance.
To get more specific per...
To get more specific.
Sure.
Right, absolutely. It's kind of like the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Yes.
There's so many areas we could move into here. So I see my future of really sharing that knowledge with other people around the world and getting the word out.
That's very inspirational, and I hope you succeed, Dr. Ross.
Thank you.
Now we're down to our last few moments of the show. Are there any inside success secrets or thoughts that you want to share with our listeners today?
Rather than treating the symptoms, realize that symptoms are the final phase of body dysfunction. They're not the first. So to treat the symptom is not to treat the cause. Look for the cause of the imbalance. We do that in everything else in our lives, but not in our body. The car starts making noise, you bring it into the mechanic, you say, check it out, tell me what's going on. But when our bodies start making noise, we say, what can we grab from the medicine cabinet to quiet it down? So we're only treating symptoms. And that's a backwards way of looking at things. Why are we doing this? Why did we move to this way of healing?
Because mostly, I think, because we take our health for granted.
Absolutely. We take our health for granted, and we think these bodies are going to last forever. Some interesting research came up recently in the area of genetics that I'd like to share with you. Because now we know what the genome is all about. We know all the genes. There's now a new science called epigenetics, which is the study of how you modify genes.
Wow.
You're born with your genes. You can't make more genes or remove genes. But you can enhance good genes and you can suppress your bad genes through what's called epigenetics. And it's all about our history and what we're doing to our bodies. What I found so fascinating about this study is that what we do to our bodies today will pass on to 4 generations. Not just your kids, but your kids' kids' kids.
Wow.
So
Wow.
what we put into our mouth today, how we deal with our being today, will influence our great-great-great-grandchildren.
Unreal. So don't just think of yourself, also think of your
Absolutely.
future genealogy.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Stephen Ross, it's been an honor having you on our show. We're going to have to wrap it up. But if you'd like more information on Dr. Stephen Ross, please visit him on his website at curingthecause.com. So this wraps it up for this segment of Business Success Weekly. Make sure you tune in next time as we will interview yet another successful entrepreneur. We'll see you next time.